This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Raise your hand if your brackets are in flames. Hopefully not. And hopefully the bankroll has been doing well here after day one of the NCAA tournament. We've got day 2 in action here for the round of 64. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you live at the D in downtown Las Vegas, soaking in all of the vibes and the atmosphere of everybody watching these games live together. Who should be on upset alert today? Already one here potentially in the early window. A couple teams that were talked about a lot as far as day 2, JVT, were Kentucky and Texas Tech.
Yep.
Kentucky currently up
by one
right now against Santa Clara. Texas Tech, it's been a little bit up and down with them. At times they're covering the number. At times Akron comes back. But a couple of really interesting games here in the early window already.
Yeah, Zips aren't going away. 52-43, like you said. We've been floating around the number pretty much this entire time. Akron closing most spots 6.5. So that is going to be one where I think you and I got the worst of it. Contest-wise, for sure, it was 7.5. You said you bet it. Did you lay 6.5?
I did, yes.
Okay, so you're on the 6.5, so that's good for you at least. But yeah, 9-point game right now at 15:43 left to go. You and I are also sweating out. We have bet Wright State first to 10. And we get a 3. All right, we got this thing. So it's 5-5. This has been a very ugly start. But you and I have Wright State at, what do we get, 230?
Plus 245.
Plus 245. I have to check mine to see what I got. I think I got plus 230. So we got to get this. Because last night, although the night slate was not great, it was a fun sweat for a race to 10. Idaho got there. I think Kennesaw got there. So we're going to sweat this thing out. But Virginia up 7-5 right now.
Yeah, that was something we didn't talk about really much at all yesterday. But is something that's fun about being at the book or in front of TVs with a big crowd is you see people just randomly lose their minds.
Here we go.
Why is that? It's because, a team got to 10 points or they got to 20 points. So those are always fun stuff to do, especially on the dogs, because in some of these big underdog situations, you can get pretty decent numbers on it.
Yep. All right, Virginia gets a bucket, but that's all right. So it's 9-8 right now. Come on, we need a bucket here from our. Come on, Wright State. Let's get this done, please.
Do this.
And then we're done with you for the rest of the day.
Yeah,
you can do whatever you want.
Oh, it's up and
get it, baby!
Go!
All right.
Okay.
First and 10. Give it to me. Don't leave me hanging. Let's go. All
Sorry,
right.
I didn't mean to Tom Brady with you. All right, first winner of the day. That's always fun. Way to get it going. I was going to say as well, because it was like so little scoring on that game to start off. We were like 3 minutes in and it was still nothing.
It was ugly.
The live total in this one after it closed 145.5 got down to 136.5. Now we're back up with the scoring picking back up to that original number. But that just goes to show how much these things can fluctuate as we go in real time watching these games.
Yeah. I mean, the scoring, everything like that. I mean, Wright State, too, at least for this game, they seem to really be focusing on you know what, let's just jack up threes and see if we can get this going and maybe use the more valuable shot as they hit a running floater, but I think there's going to be a foul on the floor here. So 11-10, 13:50 left to go. And Arizona's in control. I mean, it's only an 11-point deficit, so we'll see. A little floater is short, but Arizona got off to a good start, and they seem to be in control here. A couple of the one seeds obviously getting pushed yesterday, so we'll see. Michigan definitely put the foot on the throat in the second half, but Arizona, I think, is going to be able to take care of business against the Sharks.
I was so mad, so I did another in-game bet yesterday on Duke. Right as we were leaving here, I laid 6.5 with the Blue Devils.
Yeah.
Of course, they come back, and it lands right on freaking 6.
Oh, so you doubled down.
I doubled down.
I did not. I just took the loss.
I almost tripled
Really?
down
18
because they got as low as 2.5.
Wright State with another 3, 13-11. Go ahead.
They got as low as 2.5, and I was like, I have to take that. And then as I go to triple down, the bet went away. I got like a little spinny wheel, and it wouldn't let me take it anymore. So at least I would have had something to get out of that game. Instead, I'm 0 for 2 on Duke, so that was very frustrating, which actually leads me to What do you make of that performance from the #1 overall seed yesterday? Was it a bad day or a bad sign for what they have to come?
I mean, I think it was a bad day. At one point we were watching yesterday, they went on an 0-11 run from the floor. Duke is better than that. And I think that you just watched two things happening at one time, which was you had Siena, another 3 for Wright State. Are we going to get a repeat performance here, at least of a big dog, potentially being a little live? Anyway, you saw Siena shoot the ball extremely well in the first half, and then they lost it. I mean, yesterday what was more incredible was the fact that you don't use a single guy off your bench the whole game. You have all starting 5 play 40 minutes, and the kid that you bring off the bench didn't even register enough time to register minutes in the box score. So they just lost it, but I think that was more of a bad day than anything else. I mean, maybe big picture. We were talking with, I would say, buddy, Sam Peniatovich was talking with him yesterday. He made the comment, usually teams like that, when they struggle in the first round, aren't going to generally have big picture success. So I have Michigan State coming out of the region. I think they're going to get to the Final Four. I think you probably feel a little bit more confident if you've played against Duke in that regard. But I don't think TCU is going to upend Duke tomorrow.
We'll see if that's an opportunity to bounce back. And as we were just talking about the Wright State bet on who's going to get to 10 first, I was thinking about some angles to buy in on Duke, maybe just coming out of a game like that. You do want to go scorched earth and get out to a fast start, so maybe it is, see what the numbers are for first to 10, first to 20, first half numbers. Yeah. I would be more interested in that against a TCU team that had a wild game against Ohio State. 3 different players for the Horned Frogs, by the way, with 15+. Didn't let Bruce Thornton, who is Ohio State's best player, do anything really in that game. Just a 10-point day for him.
Except for that ridiculous 3 at the end.
Yeah, which, my goodness, ridiculous threes. How about High Point?
Yep.
That kid just up and 2 steps past, I believe it was, past the midcourt line, and he just drills it. That was a fun one, which actually leads me to.
By the way, some of you out there, I just have to say, because the eventual game-winning bucket for High Point, where the guy leaked out and got the bucket in transition on the layup, it's not a travel, folks. You got to learn the rules, okay? It wasn't a travel. Please, if you're going to comment on basketball, understand the rules of it. I just had to get that out there.
So sensitive. I did want to point this out as well. Through 20 NCAA tournament games that are in the books so far, that we have the results. Evan Abrams put this out on X last night. Underdogs, 13-7 against the number, 9-11 straight up. 9 straight up wins by Dogs between the first 4 and what we saw yesterday to kick things off. That's more than we had the entire first round a season to go. We've obviously still got a full day of games to go and some teams on upset watch as we speak in this window. Real quickly, Texas has 2 of them, beat NC State and BYU yesterday. AJ DeBonta leads all players with 35, but they can't get the win. Miami of Ohio, Prairie View, TCU, Texas A&M, High Point, St. Louis, who clobbers Georgia. They close a 1.5-point dog, win by 25. Our boy Larry Nerd, Robbie Avila, is back as well. And then VCU with the upset against North Carolina. I told you as soon as we walked in this morning, I do not know how I won that freaking bet. I thought that thing was toast.
The one I heard yesterday that I like is Slew Alcindor, which is pretty
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of my favorites.
But to your point about these dogs, right? What did we talk about before the tournament started? This had been a historic year in terms of some of the point spreads we had seen. The 3, the 14s, the 2s, all that. And maybe the perspective was that it was a little too much. And here we go. At least early on, underdogs are doing it. By the way, we'll have to talk about this as we go along. But I made this comment to Mitch yesterday when we were out and about. I'll ask you. Texas is going to the Elite 8, aren't they? They win the first 4 game, obviously. They beat BYU yesterday. Gonzaga they're Gonzaga, but they're flawed. Texas, the upside on offense is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to be surprised if we're talking about them in the Sweet 16 against whoever comes out of, Miami, Missouri, Purdue, Queens, and those are all beatable opponents for Texas.
The only thing that concerns me, I guess, a little bit in that is that BYU is a team that we talked about consistently about being a fade regardless. So I don't know necessarily how much to take away from that game. Obviously, they let DeBonta do his thing, but everything else they handled business with. The defensive side of things are what's important for me for Texas. Can they maintain what they've been able to do over these last couple of games on that end of the court?
Yep.
But yeah, I like it. I could absolutely see it coming. Kentucky, by the way, 2 minutes to go, down 1 right now against Santa Clara as we continue to keep tabs on all of these live games. Live total 146.5. And also good to mention Coming up this hour, as we're monitoring all of the live betting opportunities throughout the course of these games, previewing what's to come throughout the rest of the day as well. A couple great guests on deck with us. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to have Mike Palm.
Stop.
VP of Operations.
Sorry, Oweh, we drove to the basket and they called a foul. That was such a clean strip. That was absolutely ridiculous. So 68-67, Oweh's going to have 2 free throws coming up here.
This thing's going to be ridiculous coming down to the wire, not only for the spread, but who's going to come out on top when all is said and done. But Mike Palm, VP of Operations here at the D, Golden Gate Circa Resort and Casino, of course, as well. He'll join us in the next segment. You have an interesting topic, non-basketball for him, that we're going to get into as well.
Yes.
And
gambling related, though. Gambling related.
And VSiN Zone Will Hill give us some of his best bets for the day later on in this hour as well. We talk about teams being potentially on upset alert. Some other teams that I know have been talked about in today's window, St. John's against UNI. Could that potentially be a matchup?
They're playing us?
What?
You and I.
Oh, that was clever. I didn't even hit. That did not register in my brain.
Clearly.
Tennessee, Miami of Ohio. That's one I've heard.
Yeah.
Any that you think should be?
I mean, the one that coming up at 12:15, but right in our second hour, Hofstra, Alabama is obviously going to be one that's going to be of great interest. I have Hofstra. We've talked about that. We made the case for them quite a bit. Yesterday, Troy, in a similar role, did not get it done against Nebraska at all. I thought Troy was going to be very competitive in that game. Ultimately, they got smoked. So it'll be very interesting to see what this looks like for Alabama and Hofstra, given everything we know about Alabama. Off court there, and that window just looks tremendous because you have Hofstra, Alabama, you get Utah State and Villanova, Miami, Ohio, Tennessee. 3 of these games in this second quadrant, we'll call it, look extremely competitive. And we're going to get something, Santa Clara, 70-68, big bucket, 90 seconds left. But those games are going to be absolutely incredible.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when the bracket came down, Hofstra was one of the first bets you ended up placing, correct?
Hofstra and High Point. So High Point got there. Let's see if Hofstra can do it as well.
And, of course, as you mentioned, though, the big news for Alabama, no Aiden Holloway, who was suspended from the team after getting arrested Monday on 2 different felony marijuana charges. So he's unavailable. Been a big piece of what they tried to do. Seth Davis, actually, before we learned anything about Holloway, on the bracket reveal show for CBS, he called Hofstra as his upset of the tournament. He thinks they could win a game, if not 2. And now, to your point, though, on the other side of that, having the opportunity potentially for a Texas Tech team that doesn't have their best player, and Akron as well, it could be interesting.
Akron, I mean, obviously Akron, we're still floating around this number. They're really not going away. Every time Texas Tech gets out to 11 or 12,
who laid the number.
Yep. Every time they get out there to that double-digit land, Zips come right back. So 59-51 as we head to the under 12 break right now in that one.
I did end up getting Arkansas home yesterday, too, which was good. There were a couple times when I was looking up at the game, and I was like, is Hawaii going to do something here? Thankfully, they did not.
Dead on arrival.
Even though the live bets didn't work out particularly well for me yesterday, at least the pre-flop stuff did. So let's get in some more best bets coming up here. Excited to have Mike Palm join us on set at the D when we return. More Money Moves after this.
Hey, let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. It's March, which means the madness is officially upon us, and the folks at VSiN have really gone crazy with this one. I'm being told that for just $29.99, you can get unlimited access to VSiN Pro through May 1st. I'm talking picks through the tournament, public betting data for every single game, plus sharp tools, projections, articles, and more. Just click the link in the description to get started. It's March, baby. All right, now back to the show.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The party has arrived on set with us here at the D as we welcome you back to Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Mike Palm, VP of Operations here at the D, Golden Gate Circa Resort and Casino as well. And you're going to be with us for the final seconds here of Kentucky Santa Clara, tied at 75 seconds to go.
Got it!
With the 3! 72.4 left.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
With the big shot from 3 to tie it up at the buzzer. I hope you all can hear that at home. This place is going nuts.
A near half-court shot from Kentucky to tie the game 73-all. We are going to overtime. Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
Yeah, picked a good time to come on.
I thought Marino got fouled on the Kentucky three. I thought that I'd take a look at this again. Anyhow,
oh, you might be right.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's a bad angle.
Right.
What a shot. This morning window has been awesome. These early games have been great.
As bad as the night games were last night. The morning was great yesterday. You're absolutely right.
If this isn't an advertisement to get people down here at the D, though, I don't know what is. This has been great.
It's been awesome, Stormy. And you're in for a sweat now. I guess if you had over, that was the greatest inning you could have ever hoped for, right? 3-3, and now you're going to cover in overtime, it looks like.
What bets do you have going today?
I love Clemson today against Iowa. I really do. And I talked to Paul Stone. Paul Stone's up at the ballroom, the Detroit ballroom. He loves Iowa. I feel better about my bet. Now, he did win Human's Friday night basketball handicapping.
Last year, yeah.
But the year before that, Danielle Alvari finished ahead of him. So let's just take everything in full context.
Do you know the only handicapper last year that went into the Final Four with a mathematical chance to catch Paul Stone?
I think it was Jonathan Von Tobel.
That's right.
And he never shuts up about it.
So
you finished fourth, by the way.
I know.
Iowa has been
second.
Awful defensively. It doesn't look like it because of the scores of their games, but adjusted field goal percentage defense in their last 10 regular season Big Ten games, 359th in the country. Giving up 59% from inside the arc and 41% from outside the arc. The pace of play, which can be an advantage for Iowa, will not deter Clemson, who likes to play that grinding half-court style. They've been doing it under Brad Brownell for 17 years. And by the way, he's now the dean of the ACC coaches, Brad Brownell. I think Clemson's balanced. The game's in Tampa. I don't think you'll have any home court advantage for Iowa, although they travel well. Proximity's in Clemson's favor. I thought Clemson should be a 1 or 1.5 point favorite. I have 2.5 with Iowa, so that's my favorite play. I took 2.5 with Clemson as Iowa's favorite. I see it's gone down to 1.5 in some spots.
I'm sure the ACC would like to have a team that has a complete game or wins decisively after what they saw yesterday, no?
Hubert has to go. I mean, you knew the team that free throw shooting was going to catch him at some point. You're up 19 with the ball with 14 minutes to go in that game.
Yep.
How do you not take the timeout? How do you take a 5-second count with 22 seconds left up two? There's so many things. Neither team scored the first 3.5 minutes of overtime, but that's their fourth 15-point lead or more blown this year. We remember what he did against Kansas, blowing the 15-point lead in the final. I think they have to move on.
Roy Williams lost one first-round game in 16 years. He's lost back-to-back years now, 4 years at the helm. But to your point about the foul line, how about at the end of the game when he doesn't know what to do, or like it's not practiced enough or at all to know that you have to hit the rim?
Well, I mean, do they have a hard enough time hitting the rim when they're trying to?
Oh, yeah.
And I have to tell you something. I might be more lethal around the rim than Seth Trimble. I mean, this guy, how many layups did he miss in the last 4 minutes of that game? I don't know. It was. I say this, and I personally won the bet. I was like the rest of the world was on VCU, but a huge swing for the book. That was by far our biggest decision. Everybody was on VCU. We still made out okay for the day because a lot of the other darlings, Hawaii,
Nebraska, Troy.
Everybody was on Troy. Everybody was on Hawaii, and I guess Cal needed to cover for the boosters there, but. Yeah, so overall it turned out fine, but that was the big swing of the day.
What's one of the big ones today in terms of liabilities?
I can look for you real quick, John, because it changes by the minute.
I would assume Hostra's up there. I think they're a pretty popular dog against Alabama. That's coming up in like an hour or so.
Everybody wants to fade Alabama.
Yeah.
What Santa Clara, Kentucky? What result would be good for you guys here?
Kentucky would be good.
Okay.
Actually, for us. Let's see our top 10 decisions here.
Right now, by the way, still tied with 30 seconds. They're 30 seconds into the overtime period between Santa Clara and Kentucky.
Texas Tech also up 64-59 right now, so not covering that closing number with 9:42 to go where we currently sit, but plenty of time. Would like to see the Red Raiders pull away a little bit here because Akron was one of those really popular underdogs today too, obviously without JT Toppin. Christian Anderson had an injury. Vaughn had an injury too. So, and as we say that, Akron hits a free throw and we are a 4-point game there.
We need Alabama.
Okay.
We need Villanova. We actually need Clemson. People are betting Iowa. Those are the biggest decisions.
Okay.
What about the Miami of Ohio Tennessee game?
Pretty balanced on that game, actually. We'll probably end up needing Tennessee, would be my guess.
Okay.
I think people were very impressed with how Miami played the other night. You know, put into the spot where the world's watching you, and you have the whole weight of all the mid-majors on your back.
Yep.
I thought they played great, had a tremendous crowd. How about the Nebraska crowd in Oklahoma City?
Strong.
That's the loudest neutral crowd I think I've heard in a long time in an NCAA game. The whole state of Nebraska drove down to OKC.
Did you see the quote from the kid, Frager?
No.
The quote was, "We didn't come here to just win one game. We came here to win two."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is good. Speaking of quotes, though, the Duke player yesterday saying we thought this was going to be a cakewalk.
At halftime.
Yeah.
How do you say it at halftime?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that, really.
Yeah, he told Wolfson.
Yeah, Tracy Wolfson.
By the way, I thought the Iron Eagle Rafferty crew was unbelievable. But Jim Jackson and Benetti were really, really good in Buffalo, too.
I really enjoy Jason Benetti.
He's great at every sport, right? He was a guy that was an intern on The Score. He's from Homewood Flossmoor. He's from the Chicago area. Grew up in Chicago. Of course, he did White Sox games. They wouldn't pay him. And, he moved on to the Tigers.
Moved on to a better
National.
organization.
And National, yeah, absolutely.
To the point of the broadcasts, you have not, because she hasn't been up to the Detroit Ballroom for March Madness yet for the first 2 days. You've not seen anything until you watch Mike Palm work the sound in that room.
You'll never hear a commercial,
Never.
Stormy. You'll
Never.
never hear a commercial. There was a point where all 4 games were
You're
on
like
that,
a
but
DJ,
it was late. It was later in the day.
So you're like a DJ, but specifically for the television.
You see, he sits there, the pad's right in front of him.
I have it. Boom, boom, boom. The 4 channels where the volume's going. We go boom. There's no commercials.
You don't trust anyone else to do it? It has to be you?
I mean, right now you have to.
You're born with it. It's really hard to teach. I get the maestro. I get the maestro name from that.
I did want to go back to Duke, though, just big picture, because I'm curious your thoughts on them now moving forward.
They have problems. They have problems. I think Michigan has problems. I think Duke has problems. I think Gonzaga has problems. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas beats Gonzaga. I am so mad at myself that I didn't bet Texas A&M yesterday.
Yeah.
Randy Bennett gets this gaggle of Australian lumberjacks every year just to beat Gonzaga, right? And as soon as they go against a team with any athleticism, they have no shot. I mean, you could tell in the first 4 minutes of that game, they couldn't rebound. They had the size. Texas A&M was so much quicker than them. Like, they can't even compete. And even if they hit a couple threes in a row, they can't get themselves back. And I didn't play A&M plus 3.5. What was wrong with me?
You don't think having a bunch of guards who can dribble with one hand is going to help you in the NCAA tournament?
How about that baby bird? They kept going on about the baby bird kid. He had no shot. No shot.
Tied at 79, 2 minutes to go here in this Kentucky-Santa Clara game. Hopefully you're with us here as we're sweating this out. You had a question for...
So last 2 minutes with you, Mike. I have a tipping question that I have to ask you. So the other day at a local bar, I hit a Royal.
I saw it was posted on the X.
Yes, so I put it up.
The X.
And then afterwards I hit 4 fours, playing $5 hands, walked away with 13. How much do I tip?
How much did you win? What was your overall profit on the session?
$1,200.
Do you play there? There's a lot of factors
Here. Everybody's at
Do you know the bartender?
I want to give you some other factors. He only ordered water, and and he had to ask for it. The bartender never came up to him, never said anything to him the whole time he was there.
To your point about I get takeout there from there like once a month.
You didn't know her personally?
Didn't know her at all.
$50.
Okay. So I was a little short. I tipped 20.
I would say if you knew her and it was good service and that, it'd be 100 or 120.
Okay.
But to your point, there's factors.
She never interacted with him.
Yeah.
I have a tipping question as well then to follow that up. When you go to valet, do you tip on both ends?
No, I always tip going in. I always tip going in.
Okay.
And you know what else I tip? I tip the people, like movers. I tip them when they get to the house before they move my stuff in. If I'm going to have a regular air conditioning person, I tip them. I tip all these people that I need to help my life along.
So I tip people, but this is going to sound very arrogant, and that's fine with that. The last time I moved, the guy knew who I was. So he walked in and was like, oh, yeah. He's like, you're a big fan.
From
this
Starbucks
is great.
or Veasan?
From
Where
Starbucks,
did he know
of course, yeah.
Stop.
He's like, oh, big fan, love the show, all that. So I had to tip extra.
He loved the hearts John used to put on his cup.
Yeah, were you a cup writer? Did you write anything good on there?
No, I was just like,
whatever.
I'm business efficient.
This is awesome. Appreciate your time.
Again, my only background.
Final minute
Oh!
here. Kentucky on the breakaway ties it at 81. We got to sweat, ladies and gentlemen. Stick around. So much more madness to come here on Money Moves.
watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Moneyline and spread bets in the balance here in overtime. Santa Clara, Kentucky. Wildcats up 3, 20 seconds to go as we welcome you back to Money Moves. This segment sponsored by Upside. You can download the free Upside app today and earn real cash back every time you're filling up the gas tank. Plus, when you use the promo code SPORTS to get an extra 25 cents off per gallon on that first tank. Stormy Bonatoni, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Holding out hope here for a couple of these things. Can we get Santa Clara over the finish line? Can we get Texas Tech as well, who's been teetering in and out of that cover territory against Akron? We're going to talk it all over, plus get some best bets from our good buddy Will Hill, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, host of the Should Have Bet More podcast, VSiN host, analyst. You can follow him on X at not the Will Hill. And Will, you're sweating out Santa Clara as a contest play as well, I understand?
I am. Underdogs go to die in overtime usually, but how great is this? I mean, how much fun is this to have games on all day, all night? You wake up after all the games yesterday and just have it again. Nothing beats this time of year. It always delivers. But yes, I would love to get inside the 3.5, but we're playing a free throw game here, down 3 with 17 seconds left, and Kentucky's going to the line. So not dead, but I don't think we're on the right side of it, at least at the moment.
We said yesterday, fastest shows of all time with all these games going on.
Will, what do you do for these days? You got a bunch of squinklers running around there, kids. What do you do for these days? Are you at home? Do you watch them somewhere else? What do you do?
I am home for the most part, just watching all of them. And I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember, but there was a time when you were kind of at the mercy of CBS where they would just have 1 or 2 games and they would flip around accordingly. You couldn't really watch everything except what they wanted to put on. But now, thankfully, I don't love the way they stagger it sometimes, especially on the weekend. But yeah, I'm at home usually, sweating these games out, and we'll see here. I know something happened.
So that is going to be a Kentucky win and cover after
miss 3 from Santa Clara. Kentucky gets the rebound, takes it the other way. They're up 89-82, 3 seconds to go.
This 3-point shot, Matt. Okay, they're not going to get it off. It's foul. Because I was going to say, circa close 4. So if you hit a 3 here, it's going to matter. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They're going to foul. So 89-82 with 2 seconds left.
All right, let's look ahead to the rest of the day, though, as we await to see how these final 2 seconds are going to play out for the final number. Will, what's your favorite bet on the remainder of the slate today?
I mean, I loved Arizona before the game. I probably still look that way. If Arizona wants to keep it on the gas pedal here, I really think they could score in the hundreds just because it's such a bad matchup for LIU. And they try to play at the rim. They try to win with their athleticism. They play with a little pace. That's just the wrong way to go about it when you're the underdog. And it's hard to change your stripes this time of the year. So I think Arizona still, I know we're at halftime here. They're up 24. That would still be the way I would look. In Arizona over, an Arizona team total, second half over. But, you worry this point, at some point, Arizona's going to, pull their guys. But as far as the games for the rest of the day that haven't started, I will go with, I know it's a trendy one, Northern Iowa took 10.5 to me, still looks pretty good. They slow the pace. Opponent shooting 29% from 3 or so, best mark in the tournament. A really good defense, a slow pace. To me, those are all the recipes for an underdog to keep it close. And St. John's can be a little spotty in the half court. And I do think Northern Iowa can keep them out of transition, which St. John's usually, they got to get some points, second chance transition. Otherwise, they struggle to score. So Northern Iowa playing this close to the wire, I think, is the way to go. I do think St. John's ultimately wins, but I like Northern Iowa to keep it close.
All right, let's talk about earlier, Stormy.
Real quickly, we have gone final, 89-84, Kentucky with the win there and cover.
Stormy got mad at me earlier because there is a gentleman sitting right across from us here playing a little bit of video poker. He's got a UCF hat on, and I told him I need your boys a little bit later today. We're down to 5.5 total, 152.5. What are we doing? Central Florida and UCLA.
I like Central Florida here. I know they haven't played well to end the season, but sometimes that happens. These teams struggle to end the year. You get in, you get a new lease on life, and you make a little run or you win a game or two. I just don't know with UCLA's health issues, with all their guys banged up, Dent, et cetera. I don't trust them to cover a bigger number here. There are a couple possessions. They haven't been well. Haven't played well away from home really all year. And this game is obviously not in UCLA. We're not playing in California. So I'll take UCF, shoot the 3 pretty well, have a pretty good offense here. UCLA banged up. I will take the points here with UCF. I think they cover.
That said, worth noting, Dent and Bilodeau are both going to play today as expected. But to your point about the East Coast travel, of the 11 losses for UCLA this season, 7 of them have been past the Mountain Time Zone. That has been a sticking point. Mick Cronin, though, I was actually pretty impressed with his demeanor, because he was asked about the travel and everything, and it was just ripe for an opportunity for him to complain, his favorite thing in the freaking world. And he's like, no, I'm not concerned about it at all. I love a chicken Philly. What are you going to do?
Really quick, before you get to your next question for Will, just want to point out a couple of turnovers and some runouts for Texas Tech on consecutive possessions almost. Akron now down 77-64. Timeout Zips. They're getting outscored here in the second half, 37-29, trail by 13 if my math is correct. VSiN's own Will Hill joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. If you haven't checked out the Shoulda Bet More podcast, what are you doing? Download it, subscribe today. We were talking in the last segment with Mike Palm about this Clemson-Iowa game. He likes Clemson for the game. You're looking at the total. With the slow pace we expect for both of these two teams, is under the way to go?
I am going with the under. I got it under 131.5 as soon as it came out. There were like three bets I gave out at the right after the selection, and that was one of them. It went down to 128.5, which did not surprise me. I thought it'd keep going, but we've actually seen a buyback up here to the over at 130.5 or so. I'm a little surprised by that. Like you said, they both play slow. They both really struggle at times on offense. They can both defend. So to me, this is a game that's more in the 50s, low 60s than anything. So I will go under. I lean towards Iowa in the game just because I think Sturtz will probably be the difference maker, and his shot making probably gets Iowa home. If I had to bet it, I would take Iowa on the money line. But Brownell's a good coach for Clemson. Clemson, obviously, a good defense. This should be a close, ugly, low-scoring type of game. Typical Iowa. Typical things you always say about Iowa, whether it's basketball or football. So I like under 130.5 here. And just quickly, you mentioned Texas Tech, Akron. If Akron can get this like a 10-point game, which they're not going to do, it's 16 now. That's the zone you usually look for live overs because you get the fouling, but at 16, you're probably just not close enough to get a bunch of fouls here at the end.
What's that now, a 13-2 run for Texas Tech or thereabouts?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. Step back three from, I think it was Petty who hits it, and then he's going to come back, and I'll bet you Petty gets a bucket right here to make it 82-66. But we'll see. We'll see with 3:45 left.
To follow up, though, on this Iowa-Clemson game, we were talking a little bit about the ACC's struggles so far. Obviously, we saw that on, good display yesterday, including Louisville, who falls apart late and ends up letting USF cover, depending on what the number was ultimately you had. We're watching this Virginia-Wright State game right now, where as we approach halftime, Wright State's up 39-38. They were a 17.5-point dog in this game. What's going on with this conference? And I mean, I still just can't get over what happened with Duke yesterday alone.
I know, and Siena had their chances. They missed the putback dunk. I think even at 65-61, the three rimmed out, and then Duke made it 6, and it was done for there. But it's a good thing to keep an eye on. I know it's a small sample size, but same thing in bowl games. Although bowl games are a little different because not everybody plays anymore. But the tournament, you can keep an eye on what conferences are doing well, which ones aren't, because let's face it, we haven't seen these teams really out of conference for the most part since like December. They've all been playing each other, so we base them on how they do against each other, but we don't really have anyone to measure them against because it's just their own conference. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and if you believe in that, Iowa might be a good way to go here.
All right, we do have Florida in action a little bit later today. Big favorites. One seeds really got bet quite a bit when all these lines got set. You like Florida here, but not for the game, correct?
I just went first half. I remember I had them last year, and they were up, man. I think I was late in 23 or 24, and they got up like 35 and just took the foot off the gas. I have that in mind from last year. But with the way they came out in the SEC tournament and didn't play well, weren't overly impressive against Kentucky, and then got shellacked by Vandy, I would imagine Golden has them fired up here with some rest, some motivation to at least have a big-time performance in the first half and be up by 20, 25 points. So we see it with Arizona, LIU. I know the 16s did well yesterday, but to me, Prairie View A&M just not going to have a chance here against the size of Florida. And Florida will, to me, just be in control here going into the half. And I like the number here in the first half.
Again, that score in the first half for Arizona, by the way, 53-29 against LIU. They closed 30-point favorites, laying 37 now for the full game. For Florida, big picture, how far do you see them going as they look to defend their title from a year ago?
And to me, they're one of the 4 or 5 teams. I think I didn't pick them to win it all, but I have them in the Final Four. Their size, their shooting can come and go, and it's hard to really crack. It's like, all right, what is this team? Because so much of the season they were a average 3-point shooting team, and then they had a stretch where they shot it average or above average for a while. And if they're going to do that with their size, they're going to be really hard to beat. But to me, they're on the short list of teams that can win it all, obviously.
Real quick, TJ Birch with a blow-by and a layup. It is 43-38 with 34 seconds left in the first half. Wright State up on top of Virginia. Not the juiciest first half money line, but in the range of 6-1 for the first half for the Wright State Raiders, who are with a 5-point lead, likely going to be in the lead at the break. We will see, but Virginia having some trouble defensively today.
Will, you're the man. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate you, buddy.
All right, see you. Thanks for having me.
See you, man.
Enjoy all of the madness that is going on here. And also, while you're at it, enjoy a free app download for Upside when you have the time. Right now, we're seeing new users when you download the free Upside app earning $200 to $300 a year just from their regular commute. You get cash back every time you fill up your tank. Search your local areas to see which gas stations give you the best options. Upside.com for more information, more details. Check it out today. Again, you can download the Upside app for free and get cash back every time you fill up your tank. Use that promo code SPORTS. You'll also get 25 cents off that first gallon. Per gallon, that first fill up as well. Stick around. So much more to get to as we're keeping tabs on all of these games across the early window. We're also going to preview some more of the action still to come, but a locked and loaded day here at the D on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you're looking for free picks backed by real analysis, that's Just Win Bets, baby. Mathematical models and AI-driven best bets across the NFL, college hoops, NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, and more. Plus a live weekend preview each and every Friday. Subscribe today on YouTube, follow on X, and get their free daily best bets newsletter at JustWinBetsBaby.com. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here live at the D in downtown Las Vegas, watching all of the madness unfold, which includes Texas Tech building up this, like while we were in the commercial break, they scored on like 9 of 10 possessions, something crazy like that.
A lot of those were turnovers by Akron. This has been killing them here in the second half, and Texas Tech's going to cover. It's 89-70 with 42 seconds left.
They went from teetering on cover territory, being within 4 or 5 points, now 19-point lead in the final minute.
In total, Akron turns the ball over 9 times. This is not an official count. I believe they turned it over here in the second half. Of those 9, I think 7 times. And I think each one of those led to a run out and an easy bucket for Texas Tech. You at one point heard on the broadcast that they were shooting over 70% in the second half. I am telling you, a lot of those were just free runs to the basket in transition off of turnover. So Tech doing what they needed to do. Zips kind of running out of gas there. The offense couldn't get it done, especially in the second half. And like you said, I mean, this looked like it was going to be a sweat. In reality, Tech goes out there, gets a big win. We're clearing out the benches. They're going to cover, and a very popular selection in the Circuit College Hoops Challenge. 7 handicappers on Akron, 4 of us on Texas Tech. Chris Passero had the over. 90-70 is 160. That would get you, what are we talking about here? We get the over here on this one? Yes, over 154.5. So we're over on that, and a big win for Texas Tech, who will move on to face the winner of Alabama and Hofstra.
Boom. Also, shout out Jalen Petty. The efficiency from 3 for this guy. He was 5 of his first 6, 5 of 7
Killed
now,
him.
but 24 points for him. He has been awesome. He and Donovan Atwell both producing really well from the 3-point line for Texas Tech today. 91-70, 16 seconds to go as they round this thing out. So we talked about this game a good bit yesterday about how we felt like we were on a little bit of an island here. Obviously, Texas Tech was a pretty steady fade just from the standpoint of no JT Toppin here. Christian Anderson was coming off of an injury. Same thing with Lawan Watts coming off of an injury, and what is this going to look like for them? Obviously, Grant McCaslin says something to him that got them to go on this run, taking away the basketball, Akron coughing it up, and obviously a big win and cover for them here. What are you looking at your screen? And
so I'm trying to find, because, we're talking about individual performances, and we've reached a little bit of a lull, but the broadcast did throw up a stat that I wanted to cite, but I want to get it exactly right. But Owe, who had an incredible game today, we'll say just did something that has not been done since Larry Bird, I believe, in the NCAA tournament, but I want to give it its proper context.
All right, well, as you track that down, I'm going to start our conversation a little bit on the next game that is set to tip off here in short order. Tennessee State and Iowa State expected tip-off 12:05 Pacific, 3:05 Eastern. Iowa State laying 24.5 points here, total 147.5. Tennessee State, very good season in the Ohio Valley, 23-9, earned the auto bid in the tournament. They like to play a very up-tempo game, 36th in KenPom's adjusted tempo metric. Good guard play as well. You're going to need some of those guys to be hitting their shots early because this is a pretty significant mismatch, as the odds would indicate here. Cyclones very stylistically different. They're going to try to slow it down, gum up the works on defense. They're fourth in all of college basketball in the defensive efficiency metric, 21st in offense. We'll have a pretty decent size advantage inside as well. Blake Buchanan and Pelta should eat. They can hit the three ball. Got back in the groove late in the season as well. Joshua Jefferson really key in that. He's somebody that hit a little bit of a lull as the team did, but has really stepped his game up these last few games. What do you think about that number specifically here at 24.5?
Before I answer your question, I want to give a payoff here.
Stat?
Otega Oweh, the first player since Larry Bird in 1979 to record 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists in an NCAA tournament game, according to CBS Sports Research.
Very
so
nice.
give
Very
him the
nice.
credit that is due. A great performance for him, and obviously a big bucket to get that done. Tennessee State and Iowa State. Big win in the non-con for Tennessee State against UNLV. Doesn't really matter in this game. Former UNLV coach, TJ Otzelberger, head coach of Iowa State. There we go. All the ties lead back to here.
They're all over the place.
One of the big things I think you're going to be looking for here, you've hit all the key points, is whether or not Tennessee State's penchant for holding on to the ball is going to translate here in this game against Iowa State. In the OVC, they led the league in offensive turnover rate. They only turned it over on 14.9% of their possessions. So if you can limit the turnovers here against Iowa State, then I think you're going to be in a pretty good position to maybe stay inside of this number. I think the problem is, and especially when you look at some of these big games with the little dude versus the big dude, first off, defensively, even in OVC play, you're only 6th in terms of defensive efficiency. Opponents, in terms of effective field goal percentage, 51.5%. That was 10th in conference play, Stormy. They weren't particularly good on defense. So even if you hold on to the ball, even if you're not giving Iowa State the opportunities to force turnovers, get out and run and get buckets, are you going to be able to defend at a high level? Because your whole game here is going to be, as you mentioned, play quick, get to the rim, and and score efficiently. And I don't know if you're going to be able to do that here against Iowa State. I agree with the market. I mean, we saw all of these 2 seeds get pushed up for the most part. Some spots open 23, up to 24.5. Some spots showing 25. I think that Iowa State has the ability, like when they get going and they start turning the ball over and they start getting out in transition and they start scoring, it could be an avalanche really quickly, and I think that's what you're going to see here.
Real quickly, some updates for you as Arizona and Long Island are officially in action here in the second half. Arizona up 57-29. They closed a 30.5-point favorite, laying 40.5 currently here on the live line. Live total 159.5. Wright State and Virginia still at the break. In terms of the full game, Virginia still laying 6.5. Down 43-38 right now to Wright State. Live total 158.5. Looking at some of these second half numbers here at Circa, Virginia minus 10.5 for the second half. Second half total 78.5. I'm staying away from this one, but very interesting, as we talked about earlier, the struggles for the ACC here early on in the tournament. Virginia, who was laying 17.5 here at open, trailing Wright State in the 14-3.
Let's play under 158.5. That's what I'm going to do here for the second half. One of the things, one of the things that sticks out is obviously the shooting for both teams. Wright State's 8 of 18, 44%. Virginia's 7 of 15, 47%. Virginia shooting nearly 48% from the floor. Wright State's 46%. You would assume that maybe you're going to potentially slow down in terms of efficiency here between these two teams. And then Virginia, if you assume that they're going to come back in this game, and it's only down 5, part of that is going to be slowing down Wright State's scoring in this pace and tempo. So I think that we're going to get an under. Let's go with that, and let's see what we got. I got under 159.5. Let's do it.
We have officially gone final in Texas Tech Akron as well. A 20-point win for the boys from Lubbock after they were bet down from, I think, what was it, 8.5?
I mean, I think I saw, I have to check my, let me see my handy dandy notebook, because I wrote down all the openers from over the weekend. I thought it was like higher
Might
than
have
that.
been
I thought it 12.5. Let me see. Texas Tech Akron, right?
Yeah,
Again,
I didn't think it was
the
that
first
high.
number that we saw on the board when it's.
To your point,
I
though,
had 10.5 at the open, total 155.5.
those openers do move quickly, but it was sitting at that 7.5, I felt like, for a long time, then ultimately got down to 6.5, which is where I played it. Just felt like it was too low. We laid 7.5, obviously, in the contest. It was within that number the entire game until they ultimately pull away. Kentucky also getting the win in overtime over Santa Clara. Not only the win, but the cover, too. After Santa Clara at numerous points had a lead in this game, Kentucky finally in overtime pulled away.
Backbreaker, dude. Absolute backbreaker. to take a lead like that and to give it up and then eventually lose. And as we say, it is a cliche for a reason. Overtime is where dogs go to die, and that's exactly where they went to die here. So,
although I'll tell you, I was that person yesterday. So my husband has a bunch of friends that are in town right now. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina. All his buddies out there like live in Charlotte. They came down, and everyone was betting North Carolina yesterday. And I'm of course texting him like, sorry, I took VCU, like not rooting for you. But we get to the point where it's the end of the game, VCU comes all the way back, and I still did not believe. I'm like, I don't know if that momentum's going to carry over to overtime. That's where dogs go to die. That was verbatim what my text was to him, and then ultimately they won, and I want to say I felt bad, but nobody consulted me.
Nobody feels bad about North Carolina. He also went to UNC Wilmington, so who cares?
That's true, and quite frankly, he reps South Carolina more than North Carolina anyways.
Yeah.
But
I don't get the difference.
Did you have any strong opinion on the Hubert Davis comment that Mike Palm made to us earlier, that he should be out?
Probably. I mean, I think it depends on what your desires are for your program, and they have high standards. And I think the standards are that you should be one of the title contenders almost every single year. And they really haven't been that for the most part. Now, the injury does change things. But I think you saw at the end of that game that they are a relatively poor coach team situationally, and that maybe there is a ceiling for him. Although we've seen the runs in the NCAA tournament, so maybe there's something to it. But I think that at this point, you're probably heavily considering moving on if you're in the.
It feels like a compounding issue because last year, obviously, they lose early in the tournament. In a tournament, quite frankly, they probably shouldn't have even been in the field to begin with. But then this year, I thought that they were a good team and they were on the right track, but obviously that Wilson injury really changed the complexion of their team. Yeah. And I don't think you can blame Hubert Davis for that.
No, I mean, I don't think you can. I think your criticisms of him are obviously big picture, regular season record, and some of the coaching mishaps that he has had.
Okay, when we come back, we should be nearing tip-off for that Tennessee State-Iowa State game. Again, spread 24.5, total 147.5. We'll also break down Hofstra, Alabama. JVT's already got a play in action currently. We're sitting 11.5 on that number, and my best bet of the day as well coming up in our window, Utah State and Villanova. Got a lot of fun on deck here, right on Money Moves.